Welcome back to the channel. I'm Oliver Phil. I've been a little while trying to get some videos made and get them put out, but just been very busy around here. I got an Allis Chalmers 160 here. You can see it's had some injection pump work. That's where I get a lot of my parts, complete diesel. But basically this has come to me for a crank no start. And I've seen this tractor run before. It's a good runner, it was. But basically I'm going to start from the fuel tank forward towards the injection pump. And what I decided to do is start here at the first sediment bowl, which is underneath the primary fuel tank. And you couldn't even see in this glass. I had to clean this glass. It was terrible. I had pulled the sediment bowl out, cleaned all the gunk out, which was hard to do. I had to use a wire brush. And then took the screen down, and then when I opened the fuel tank up, I mean, it is just, right now, nothing. It was just a dribble. I'm not getting much at all. Like, it's trying to fill up the bowl now. Oh, there, now it's just dripping. So I took this off and pulled the whole stem out and still had nothing, and cleaned a bunch of junk and gunk out of there. So it should flow real well outside this tank. So I'm gonna pull this sediment bowl down, see if there's something plugged in there or blocked, and I'm going to get it cleaned up, hopefully in the ultrasonic cleaner. You can see it's painted orange, so it's been on here a while since they painted it. Then you got another line here that I'll make sure is cleared out. It goes to the other sediment bowl. It's on this lift pump, and you can't really see into that one very well either. I'm going to get it off and clean it up. Then it goes back around to the other side after the lift pump and comes back into this fuel filter that is also painted orange. And so I got a new fuel filter, and we're going to work our way towards the injection pump and also make sure the return line is clear. But right now I got to get this sediment bowl off, and the fuel tank is full. So I'm gonna get that off and then I'll bring you guys back. Okay, just taking a peek here at the sediment bowl. There was a ton of stuff that I had to scrape out of here. Looks a little plugged down in there and in there. So we're gonna get that in the ultrasonic, get that bowl in there. Took the thing apart and that sucker was stuck. Down in the fuel housing for the filter. And then this is the banjo bolt, which I knocked some of the dirt out, but you could not see in there very well. So I'm gonna throw that in there, and we're gonna give that all a clean. And see how that goes. So we'll get that baking. Could have turned this on a long time ago. On. Stop it. Alright. Since it's going to take a little while to warm up, I'm going to do a short wave and come back and hit it again. And then I'm going to clear out the lines on the tractor and get the fuel filter changed. Alright, now that I got that stuff in the ultrasonic, I got this shut off. I have great flow here, which I put a fitting on this, so you can see it'll flow out of there way easier. Now there might be some stuff in there, but no problem there. So that's what I want into the sediment bowl. So I'm going to check to see if I get something through this banjo. Block off the other side. center hole comes over from the other side of the pump, the other lift pump. That's this guy right here. And I need to get the little screen out of there. Yeah, I always just try to start with the basics before I jump to a pump that's been gone through already. So here is a screen. It looks, you can't even see through this screen. Make sure you guys can see this. So here is the screen. This is where fuel comes in to that sediment bowl, where the lift pump then takes it from there over to the fuel filter, and then from the fuel filter to the injection pump. And you cannot see through that. That screen, shot. We're going to change that. I'm not even going to clean it. That's not going to let any fuel through. So we will put a new screen in that and a new gasket, which I have all that in stock on the truck. Same thing. I'll take the blowgun, go here. It'll come out that line over there. And it is. So, let's see if I get any resistance with the pump. All right, I at least get some something attempting there. So I will wire brush and clean up inside here on the roof of that sediment bowl. And that's going to be before I move to, like I said, the more expensive part, the pump that's already been gone through. That's why I think it's important to start with the basics. So we're working our way forward from the tank all the way around, and this happens time and time again on carbureted tractors as well. I tell people, do you have good fuel supply? Yeah, I got fuel coming out. Go all the way back. Do you have flow? It has to have good flow. I have updated a lot of those higher horsepower Olivers where they come over here and had a lift pump. I've eliminated those and gone right to the carb, good flow, never had a problem. Just gotta have good flow before you start diagnosing. So let me get some new parts out, get the new fuel filter, get those parts ultrasonic, and then we're gonna get everything put back on here. All right, got everything nice spick and span and clean from the ultrasonic. Got some new copper washers here. Gonna try to get the new fuel filter. I already changed the O-ring up inside here on the stem and what would be the top of the filter housing, and then the one more O-ring goes right here in the bottom, and then that'll seal the bottom of the filter for those of you that don't know. So at least it'll have a good supply. And now that we know that other screen was completely plugged, that was a big part of the problem. So now I get to do this without making a huge mess. Hang on. Already went through this and verified everything works, lubed it, put air pressure in it to make sure it seals and shuts off. This one's kind of special to the fitting that's in this tank. So hopefully I can make a quick adjustment here. I said hopefully. I expect there to be a little bit of a mess. I thought about siphoning out the tank and just not messing with it. So I got my little valve off. A little bit of diesel fuel will be good for this. Alright, she's snug. That's what we want. I'll get all that blown off, but still worked out. Alright, now to get the banjo fitting installed. Just a copper washer on one side and one on the other. Yeah, I have some other videos in the works, it's just they took a little longer. They're not quite done yet. Waiting on parts. Things get busy. I do appreciate the guys and girls who do watch, and appreciate and like all the comments that we get, and always enjoy that. Just trying to make sure it is snug here. Alright. Now that line has some slack, it's not pinched. Now I'm going to try to let some fuel in that. Look at that, flows in there real good. Now what we're going to do is run over to the other side and see if it comes out over there real easy. Look at that, flowing. That's what I want. And the screen on the other side is the one that was completely plugged. Let me get you set up here. Get you in a comfortable spot. All right. So, got a brand new screen, which this one had to have the offset square hole. Not necessarily easy to find, not real hard. New gasket. I need to make sure it all stays in there. Not a huge fan of the screens, but it does help. when you're starting out fresh, I ain't afraid to use them. And I couldn't just necessarily go get a new bowl for this one. This is the one that is built onto the fuel pump, and I don't have reason to believe the lift pump is bad at the moment. Just want it to seal. One thing about working on tractors that are painted up nice, you hate to get it all over the paint, but you got to work on them. I try to take precautions, and if this was gas, I'd be more concerned about getting her all cleaned off right away. All right. So I'm going to turn that fuel on again. You guys see if we can check to see if that bowl is leaking. The tank is so full, it should, yep, should help fill this up. And I could probably, there you go, that shows me the pump's working. Move this handle a little bit. Now let's see if we're going to fight a leak at the bowl. All right. No leak at this bowl. And we'll go over to the other side. And I think I got it pumping out of the fuel filter. Yep. You can see it running real good right there. So what I'm going to do is shut it off. That means we're getting all the way through to the filter. Now we'll go ahead and assemble this fuel filter. Get a little bit of that fuel down here on this O-ring. Fuel filter. I'll put the orange side out. Already got the O-rings up in here. Seven 16ths on this one. Little guys jump right out of your hand. All right. Look at that. No question on who made the filter. This takes a 3166. A lot of other tractors use this same housing. Since it's a CAV housing. Okay, now I'm going to turn that back on. Come over here and I'm going to give it some pumps. And I hear So I pump it, if you can and you're lucky and the tractor is small enough, I pump it until I hear fuel return, which can return a couple different ways, but either way I'm getting through. I already checked the oil. I'm not going to touch anything on the pump just yet. But let me get the injector lines cracked, which I'm not sure what size they are on here. And let me get another wrench. Looks like these are 5/8. Definitely on there good. Need them tight. There we go. There ain't that many cylinders on here to worry about. Crack all 3 of them. Alright. Couple turns ought to do. Just enough to try to pump air out. Alright, let's see. I imagine that's supposed to be hooked there. We'll snug that up for him. There we go. Now it'll say it has oil pressure. Alright, get you guys back here. I have not tried to start this tractor at all yet. Starting to warm up here, that's for sure. Put this down on my rubber pad. Alright, let's see what happens here. Neutral. I know a lot of these Allis Chalmers, you know, the cable is out to run. And this one, I think he said works normal. So cable in. Give her some fuel here. I don't know. I should check to see if I have power. Let's turn it on here. Well, now I gotta check to see. There is a clutch pedal switch, which is not really moving, so I don't know if that works. Let's check to see if we got power. I don't think that switch, I think that switch is stuck pushed in, so we should have power there. I said I don't know much about these. Alright, little behind the scenes check-in, and that battery is from 2023 and it is junk. So I'm going to try my, had I known that, I would have had that battery trying to charge, because when you're cranking a diesel trying to bleed the air, it takes a lot of power. So hopefully my jump pack will do something for us. So like I said, I went around and primered the lift pump again. I don't have to push the clutch in because that switch is stuck up, so you can just stand next to it, which I don't like to do, but it does now. With my jump pack on, it'll crank over. Give that a break here. I do expect it to kill my jump pack now that I know that the battery's pretty much junk. So we know we got good fuel flow to both sediment bowls through the fuel filter. We just need to get it have to get it through the pump, which I have not taken apart yet. Still trying to do it without taking the pump apart. Alright, I'm gonna go grab a wrench here. Crack these a little more. Sometimes you gotta give them enough room to really get that air out. Come on. And we don't know if the injection pump is gummed up like all the rest of that was as well. It's definitely possible. Of course, we're getting nothing. Yeah, that should be off. The jump pack's down. Alrighty, I'm going to try to get a charger on that, and then we're going to take a peek and give that starter a break, and we might take this cover off. Well, being that this is where the fuel comes into the pump, I'd like to take a peek and take this pump off. Then we'll take this cover off, which is not a big deal, but that gets you to the linkage, but it doesn't necessarily, you can see the governor plate, but it doesn't necessarily get you to the metering valve where we can mess with it. Let me go get a socket. Too big. Being that this is the first point of entry for the fuel into the pump, it's not a bad place to check out. There is a little screen in here, which I'll try to show you. That one's a little tighter. Part of me feels like this has been working, but until I get my eyes on it, we won't know. Oh, it's gonna fight me the whole way. Okay, so in here I have a roll pin, and that orientation is set to help hold the outside of the little transfer pump. And we will take this apart to check the screen and the plunger, which I can hear. It should move, and it sure feels like it's moving just fine. Don't beat on your hands. I have to go get that loose real quick. 1 second. Take this apart here. Should have a nut, washer, spring with a little guide on the bottom, another spring with a tiny spring inside it, little free floating piston. There's a little spring down here that moves, and then there's this There we go. Trying to get it out of there so we can take a look at it. Well, everything looks really good in there. And that screen looks great. So hopefully it's not acting up further in that body. Well, that's what we wanted to check. So we're going to put that back together. Alrighty. Seems like it's doing pretty good in there. And the blades are spinning. Well, what I saw right there makes me really struggle to believe that there's a problem in the pump. But it could be further in. That looks good though. Okay. So far, it's pretty good. Turn the fuel on, I still get good flow coming out. Still have currently nothing to the injectors. Put the return line on. This is just tedious work. Sometimes I wonder about turning the camera off so you guys don't have to watch this. I don't take a ton of these pumps apart. At least not as much as the Rosa Master. Well, I'll get these safety wires cut and we'll pull this top cover off. Take a peek in there. I'm going to move the one injector line out of my way and I'll bring you back. When you take this cover off, you're going to have a spring here to the governor plate, and there's 3 holes here. You want to pay attention to which hole yours is in. 3 different choices, 3 different places that it could go. Here's your shut off. That has to go in between the cam to shut it off. And then it was filthy. When I took the cover off, all kinds of dirt came out. Nasty fuel. You can kind of see it here. Look at all that. It is terrible up in here. So this is your shut-off cam, and it slides back and forth here. But I don't think that's moving, because here's your metering valve. So you could pull on that all you want. So I'm going to try to blow all this out. It's nasty in here. And then also there is a spring right here, and that 3 separate holes here, and you got to take note which hole that goes in. That's what your spring hooks to. This one was the middle hole. So this should be your metering valve, and I bet you she is stuck. So let me get set up here and I'll bring you back. So what I'm doing here, so I drained the diesel fuel out of it, and you can just see it's kind of nasty in here. Definitely need to run some, he said it's got treated fuel in it now, hot shots, but we need to get some good cleaning fuel in here and a cleaner. It's just got a bunch of nasty, basically fuel has tarnished, and I'm using some Croil. This was not moving. When you pull the governor back, the metering valve was just sitting there. Now it is moving. So I'm going to work that back and forth, and then we're going to put it back together and try it again. So trying to get you in there here. So let me get that worked a little bit more and I'll get you right back. Now, let's see if we can move you. Just for shits and giggles, I'm going to see if we get anything out of this head now. My guess is she's going to be gummed up a lot further in. It's not good. Trying to get all that freed up and get some penetrant in there. Oh, it's trying. It's just gummed up. The pump should come off. It's just this thing's been sitting. Sitting's not good on these tractors. Alright, still working it back and forth. Another little trick I've done, and again, the correct thing is well, I mean, correct is a relative term, but typically the pump with that gummed up nasty fuel should come apart, but I've definitely seen worse. So what I'm going to do is I'll put air to a delivery hole and see. Oh, hey. Doesn't take much sometimes to get it to blow that loose valve after we got some penetrant in there. So let's see here. Oh yeah, it's already wanting to run. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that line back on. Go. That is good news. I gotta check his belts. One was squealing. So let's recap for a minute here. So this thing was brought again for a crank no start, although it didn't even crank for me because battery was dead. And I always start with the simple, especially since the pump looked like it was new. And I come back here and we check flow. You always want good flow from the tank. And we worked our way forward. We found that this was nasty. Took it off, ultrasonic, cleaned both sediment bowls, that whole sediment bowl assembly. The screen was nasty in this one. It was completely plugged on this sediment bowl. And then cleaned out the line, made sure I had good fuel and the pump was working over to the filter. Changed the fuel filter that definitely has been on there for a while. And then we started checking flow into this pump, and we had a lot of issues there. We took apart the transfer pump here at the back, and it was good. It was clean. Took apart the return line and checked the front. Check, and it was good and clean. Verified lines return incoming and outgoing to the fuel filter housing from the pump. Last thing I could check was I took the cover off, and it was nasty in there. I mean, I've seen worse, but that was nasty. Enough for the pump. I mean, we're talking, these are machined pieces, and there's a tight tolerance, so a little bit won't take much to stick it. So looks like that metering valve was stuck. We drained the fuel out and put some Croyle in there, and we worked that linkage back and forth, and I worked the metering valve. Put that all back on, and she was still not getting fuel through the pump head. Cranking, you saw it, I had the line off, cranking and cranking and cranking. And so another thing I do, if it's not too stuck, is I apply air to the delivery while I crank that over and try to force the delivery valve back open. I'm sure in this there's some sort of plunger like in a Rosamaster where the two come together. And then fuel sprayed back out and it tried to fire. Sometimes it takes a little while, sometimes it goes pretty quick, but sometimes that works, and in this case it did. Put the fuel injector line back on, tighten it all back up, and she fired up. So I'm going to get it all snugged back down one more time. Excuse me. Get it cleaned off, and then I'm going to check the belts, and then I'm going to bring you back, and we'll see how it's doing. Alrighty, well, I got her power washed off. Looks a lot cleaner, drier. Put the cover back on, cleaned up around the injectors. I did get the neutral safety switch working properly, whether they wanted it to or not. I did tighten the belt, and everything looks good over here. So she's charging good. So my guess here is they got to try to keep getting some fluid through it, keep some cleaner in the fuel. I mean, really, the injection pump probably needs torn down and all that cleaned out. The governor is going to be slow to respond for a while. Good chance with some use, maybe it'll come out of that. Time will tell. Definitely needs to be ran more than it sits, and definitely keep the fuel treated and keep it clean. So hopefully getting that through the injection pump is going to help it. But she runs now, and that was the goal. Let's see, I tightened up the ignition switch. So you look down here, she does not start. Push this in. Governor a chance to catch up in there, but she's a runner again, and that's all that was asked of me. Did a little bit more. Like I said, I try to wash them off. So pretty interesting, I think. Being able to bring them back. But basically, this needed some well-needed maintenance. But you know, it's an antique tractor. A lot of them just get put in the shed, so it's understandable. Keeps guys like me in business. So if you guys like what you saw, which I hope you found something interesting, please hit that like and subscribe button. Keep checking back periodically for new content, and I really do appreciate it. And always, I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.